I want to say hi. Welcome. Thank you for coming to listen to me. If you didn't come and listen to me, I'd be standing here talking to myself. So it's very comforting that I can share what I'm passionate about with you. The reason I teach intuition and or psychic ability is because my short form of my story is, if my mother hadn't been psycho, I wouldn't be psychic. And it's true. So it's all about mental health for me, and as we know, we are coming up against a lot of challenges now. We don't trust ourselves anymore. We're looking to Google. We're looking outside of ourselves. I know you here are probably a lot more connected than most. We need to take this out on the road into mainstream. But this is why I'm so passionate, because there are reasons why if we don't connect to our intuition and listen to it, we literally lose the thread of our lives. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So I don't know how many of you know me. Been around a long time, been all around Canada and US. I do phone and psychic readings, past life regressions, spirit mediumship, and ghost busting. Got some great ghost busting stories. My books, I've got 3 at the moment. They're on this table here. It's called I Think I'm Psychic and You Can Be Too. So they're the stories of my wicked upbringing and how reluctantly I came to my psychic ability. The other one is I Thought You Were Dead, and other psychic adventures. So that's more about spirit realm, what happens after we die, our connections to our animals, our cellular memory, our past lives, and how they can impact us in the present, which is another reason why I teach intuition. And then I do workshops. I've got a bunch of flyers on my table on psychic development, dream interpretation if you need help with your dreams, how to talk to dead people if you want to, all kinds of things. So feel free to go to the table afterwards if you have time. I know you're on a tight schedule, and go see what I'm doing. So this is just one thing you could do with a lot of intuition. Just a thought. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, darling. This is an improvised flip chart. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. So, anybody heard of Confucius? So Confucius said, man always has 87 problems. He get rid of 7, he gets 7 more. So that's cheery, isn't it? So we all have a lot of worrying to do about our various problems. And then Einstein said something that's very apropos of today. He said, once human interaction is superseded by technology, we might be breeding a generation of idiots. Well, I know I'm a bit of an idiot on technology, so I don't know about how you do, but sometimes it really throws a spanner into the works. And this is why I always go back, if in doubt, to my intuition. And sometimes my intuition helps me with my technology, which is great. So what do we worry about? Anybody want to make some suggestions? Money, relationship, our children, our families, technology, our jobs, whatever else is going on. So how do we make our decisions at this moment? So I want you to think, because we're going to be doing an exercise at the end of the hour on how you can make the right choice and make the right decision. So I just want you to think now about something that you would like the answer to today from your intuition. So just take a minute, close your eyes, and this time is for you. Just take a nice deep breath in and breathe out, and just think about that thing you've been wondering about. Okay, great. Everybody got a worry that they can get answered today. So, who do we trust? Technology, as I said, can be very dicey these days. There's a lot of cyber fraud around. It's not just a crime now, it's actually an industry. I think there's going to hit a tipping point where it becomes so impossible to use that there's going to have to be major changes, and I see that happening already. But in the meantime, where do you go to get your information? Sometimes we go to other people's, we go to our friends or our family, but God bless them, sometimes they have their own agendas. And consciously or unconsciously, they're going, oh yeah, you should do that, that would be good for you. And then you go, oh, okay. And then off you go and do it, not trusting that little voice inside you that's nagging at you saying, don't do it. And sure enough, disaster ensues. I've got a little story about this, my friend. So I was in holiday in Florida years and years ago. It was Christmas Day. And we were just lying on the beach. And I felt like, I think I'll go for a swim. So I got up, my girlfriend's lying there, she's lying, reading My Time magazine, and we're just having a nice time. And she said, you going for a swim? And I said, yeah. She said, you're going in the ocean? And I looked out the ocean, and nice calm blue ocean, families and people were swimming there. And I looked at the calm blue ocean and I went, no, I don't think so. And she said, why not? I said, there are sharks out there. She said, no, there are no sharks. That was years ago. All the sharks are gone. And I was almost tempted to go, yeah, that's right. Haven't heard about any sharks. Looked back at the water and went, ugh. Got this feeling of dread. So I said, no, I think I'll go up to the pool, thank you very much. Went up to the pool, did my 40 laps like the good girl I used to be in exercise, and came back down on the beach, and there's all this activity. There's people in ATVs, riding up and down the beach, telling people to get out of the water. So I said to my girlfriend, what's the commotion about? She said, oh, there was a shark and it bit a boy in the back of the leg. And I went, what? She said, oh, he's fine. I said, I don't think so, not after a shark bit you in the back of the leg. But I lay back down on my chair and I just said, thank you to my intuition, because that would not have been a nice Christmas present that day. And she was my friend. So what are your enemies going to tell you to do? So what is intuitive intelligence? For me, intuition, was everybody at the speakers, listening to the speakers last night? So we touched on this, right? So for me, it's a lot of things. It's a kind of a Neanderthal, primal feeling that we have inside us. We're like animals in the jungle who can sense when there's danger. But we come into this life with this beautiful intuitive intelligence. It's really our essence. I can say this here because I know you're all on my level, is that it's a connection to the divine, it's a connection to your spirit guides, it's a connection to you. And I'm going to be getting more into the levels of mind in a minute. But this is a voice we can always, always trust, always, because it's coming for our highest good and the highest good of everybody concerned. So whenever I go and do something, I often check in. So a girlfriend of mine who's Scottish said, oh, Natasha, I'd like you to drive down to Mexico with me, to Puerto Vallarta. And I said, well, Lara, is that safe? Oh, it could be fine. So like I said, I don't listen to my friends anymore. So I checked in and I asked my higher ups, I said, is it safe? And what they showed me, it was like Google Maps now. This was quite a few years ago. And there was this nice white line all the way from Vancouver down to Puerto Vallarta. And I went, thank you. So we were safe, and we were. So we had a great time. So intuitive intelligence is also, it's lots of things. It's not, people think it's just receiving messages, but actually with intuition, as you know, our thoughts are magnetic impulses. So whatever we're thinking, it's, as Steve was saying, it's in our field. The thoughts are in our field. And we're emitting them as well. And when we emit thoughts, we're drawing things to us because they're magnetic. So, you know, I'm a great manifester. I teach manifestation. So if I need somebody in LA because I've got a screenplay and I want to get into LA, bingo, bango, 3 months later, I've got this person now we're best of friends and we've got the screenplay done and we're working on getting people for the screenplay. So you can save yourself a lot of work with the intuition as well, if you just put it out there. It's very important to be aware of your thoughts. We've all talked about positive and negative this weekend. We've all talked about subconscious and ego. So I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Why don't we trust it? Well, I have a theory that we've probably all been witches around the 1500, and we all got maybe burnt at the stake, and we went, ooh, better not go there, right? I don't want to be burnt to a crisp yet again. So, but we've all had experiences where we did get into trouble, where it did cause us pain. And it's a very interesting thing when I've done my psychic development workshops and we start to go inside into the intuition, people will often come up against their old trauma, their old pain. And so we go through that, and once that is released, then they can go through to the deeper self and really trust themselves. Because although we look in the mirror and we don't like what we see a lot of the time, well, I don't, maybe you love it, we do deeply, deeply love ourselves and care about ourselves. So our inner voices are saying, why did you put yourself in that place where you got hurt? So it's like part of us saying, I don't trust you so much. But intuition won't keep you completely safe, but it will, because maybe you were meant to have that experience as well. There are lessons in life, right? But what I say with intuition, first it's a whisper, then it's a 2x4 over the head, and then if you're still not getting it, it's a train wreck. So what the intuition will help you is not to go into the train wreck. We don't have to learn through pain anymore. If we're listening and paying attention, trusting our inner voice, and acting or not acting on the information that we get from it. Anybody had an experience where they did trust their intuition and they ended up in the wrong place? Yeah. Okay, Joy. I'm calling you Joy now because you're Joy, right?
Yeah. So it happened in a different country. We were on an application, and yeah, we sneaked out. We were traveling with the school. Anyway, we ended up with these guys, and they wanted to take us to the beach. They said, I can drive. So we went to the beach, and I knew I didn't even want to go with them.
Right.
It was me and my friend. So anyway, it ended up that they drove back, they kidnapped us. It ended up as a car accident, and I almost died.
Oh my gosh. So did everybody hear that?
Yeah, and it's like it stays because it deformed my bones.
Oh my gosh. So if you had, that's okay. That's okay. You know, in every lesson, there's always a gift. So there will be something in this. And sometimes we need our intuition to intuit what the gift is. So I don't know if you know what that is yet, but you know, sometimes something always comes out of something, right? Right? And so anybody else had other experiences where they didn't listen to their intuition and they went down the wrong path and they went, oh, could have had a V8 if I just listened to my intuition. Anybody had that experience? Yeah?
I had an experience when I should have locked my door. Should have checked that I locked it.
Yes.
And it turns out I had locked it. And I woke up in the middle of the night to a sister in my house. And it stole my purse.
Yikes. Yikes.
And it didn't hurt me.
Good.
I didn't check the door.
No. So who experiences sometimes a little voice in the head with intuition? Great. Does anybody have the experience of like an angel flying by the ear when just leaving a message? Yeah? Yeah. Who gets a gut feeling? Great. Who gets any other signs in their physical body of intuition? Michael?
Truth bumps.
Truth bumps? Like goosebumps? Nice. I like that. Anybody else?
Sharp pain in my ear.
Oh, do you? Interesting. Is it like a high hum or a sharp pain?
More like a.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what's the message? Is it always like just anything?
To bring my awareness to the
Okay.
situation. But,
Like, wake up. I get those too. My husband's been bonking himself on the head for the last 3 weeks. He said, why do I keep hitting myself on the head? I said, I think the universe is trying to give you a 2x4, right? Right? So I'm just going to take this off for a second, if I can do this without crushing any flowers. So what we have here is when I do psychic readings, this is how I experience your mind. Call it mind, heart, because our intuition is also, to me, it's actually the heart, which is the brain of our body, right? The brain is like the hardware, and the intuition is like the software, okay? And when they say we're not using our brain, we're really not using our mind, is what they're talking about. Because if we applied our intuition, our brain can go into genius status. Who feels like they could feel like they'd like to be more intelligent? Yeah. So we can access our genius, and I do constantly because I haven't read all the books and seen all the movies, so I have to ask the higher-ups. They make me look really good because I go, wow, that sounded really good, and I never read that book. I ask the question, I get the answer. But sometimes people say, oh, I asked and I didn't receive. And I said, well, maybe you did receive, but it wasn't the answer you really were hoping for. Like, should I marry Bill or should I marry John? Well, John's got a lot more money, and they're saying, no, marry Bill. Okay, so this is what I experience when I'm reading your mind. So if you come to me for a reading, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look in your hands as well. And there are 6 levels of consciousness that I work with. So I start with the soul, because here is your life. That's another one bites the dust. I'll start with your life story. I believe that we all came with a life story, like a movie, while we were still in spirit, and we incorporated into that movie lessons that we need to learn in this lifetime. So my lessons have been many, and they've been a lot about power. A lot about power, because apparently I was a really bad dude in past lives, so I'm going to be a good person in this lifetime. So I look into the life story, and I can really sense what your life purpose is. What have you come here to do? And it's never about money, by the way. It's always about power or happiness or forgiving betrayal. Forgiveness is huge. We often pick people in our lives that will remind us of the things that we need to learn, like my mother was one of those, and she certainly drilled it into my head, the lessons I had to learn. So I'm looking at the soul and the life story. Then I go into the spirit, which is who you are in this lifetime. So this lady, I call her Joy. I know that's not her name, but she's full of joy, even though she's been through lots of things. So, you know, I look at the spirit, the challenges and the gifts that you came with. We all came with challenges. We all came with things to learn, and we all came with gifts. And sometimes we get the gifts from the challenges, which is what I was saying to you, and what I've done with what happened with my mother and I. I took from that, you know, how did that make me a better person? Well, it certainly motivated me to go out and learn about psychology, that's for sure. And then I couldn't help her, so I can help other people though, so that's wonderful. Up above here is the subconscious. This holds all the data, all the lifetimes you've ever been through, the Akashic records, right? Who've been in past lives. When I do a past life regression or reading, sometimes one particular past life will pop to the surface. And that one will be the one that's kind of bugging you in this lifetime, the one that hasn't been resolved, put to bed, and made to that you're at peace with. And then you've got your present beliefs. And Stephen was talking about this last night in the first part of our lives. And this is where...
You didn't even touch it.
No, I didn't. Yeah. It's okay, I got it. Is it dead? Can I get another one? I'm just going to keep talking until it really dies on me. Your present beliefs. And a lot of that comes from your childhood upbringing, or it comes from an event, or it comes from you had somebody say something about you. And you decide, you make the decision at that time. No.
Just talk loud. I'll replace that.
Will you? Okay. I'll try and talk loud. So the present beliefs have come from many, many sources. They might come from past lives. They might come from something that happened to you. It might come from your environment, your family, a teacher. And once you've got this, what I also see here in the subconscious is your future potential. Sometimes I look at your future potential and then at your beliefs and say, you know, these don't mesh. Your current beliefs are actually in the way of your current potential. You could have this and this and this if you let go of this idea and change that belief. Thank you, darling. So there's a lot of healing to be done in the subconscious. All these levels of mind and consciousness create frequency or vibration. And really, intuition is a frequency. Because whatever frequency you're in and you're asking the question, you're going to get the right answer coming back to you at the right time for what you need to know in that frequency. Does that make sense? So what I do, I like to help clear people's blocks, because it's been said many times this weekend already, we're amazing beings. And what Benita was saying is, like, you know, you've got this gift. I've written that in my book, actually. It's like you've got your gifts that you came to the life with. You wanted to be an actress or a writer or a pirate or travel around the world, do good or do bad, whatever it is was going to float your boat. And maybe people in your environment said, you can't do that. You'll never make any money at that. You're not good enough at that. You're not very good. You're not good enough. We get all these messages that make us shut down on that inner voice, which is our intuition, which is another reason why we don't trust it. Now, if it's serious enough, some people bounce back. My oldest brother was told by my father, who was not very nice to him at all, said, you'll never be anything but a bum. Well, he died worth 700 million. So maybe he was a rich bum, but he was, you know, he did really well. But he did it in reaction to that. And that's not good either in some ways. You want to do what you want to do. So a lot of people come to me and I see in the basement of their being that they wanted to dance, or they wanted to write, or they want to work with kids, or they want to do this. And I always empower them to do it, no matter, it's never too late. It's never ever too late. You may want to not wear a tutu and put your ballet shoes on at 60, but why not? Why not? If you wanted to be a ballerina or start painting, it's not over until it's over. And once people start acknowledging who they really are, their authentic selves, things start working in their lives. It's really amazing. It did for me. Once I really acknowledged, okay, I'm a psychic, I guess I'll be a psychic. And off to the races I went. My life started to work. It started to flow in one direction. Everything was lined up, because this is what I agreed to do when I came here. So, is anybody here got a talent that they think they have, that they'd like to kind of play with, that they're not doing?
Dancing.
Nobody?
Dancing.
Dancing, great. Anybody else? Okay, sorry. Writing, good for you. Anybody, any more?
Theater.
Theatre. You'd be great in theatre, Michael. We're in one big theatre all the time anyway. Why not play? So, you know, I've had people with tears streaming down their cheeks saying, when I said, you know, you should write, or you should dance, or you should be in theatre, and they say, oh, I couldn't possibly do that, and I'll never do that. And I said, well, why are you crying if it's not touching you? And it's getting to the core. So intuition is a lot about being in your essence, listening to your voice, trusting you. That's God-given. If you don't like the word God, you know, whatever else, divine intelligence, universal. But that is who you are in this lifetime. And what this does for us when we're crushed at the center is make us feel different, like, oh, I thought that was who I was, but obviously I'm wrong. I got told the same thing by my sister when I was 10 years old about writing. She told me a little fib, but I didn't realize until later that it was a fib. But she told me, my English teacher told me, well, that's a nice story, but I'd like you to write it, Len, because Karen's not very, you know, Natasha's not very good at that. So I got the idea that I wasn't a good writer. Well, I can't stop writing now, so there you go. So I'm just going to say to you, do it, intuit and do it. In this level here is the alpha state. It's the place between the conscious waking state and the subconscious. In this state, you know, you might be in the state now if you're feeling like you're yawning and going off to sleep, or when we watch TV or do gardening. It's when we're in a more relaxed state. And this is where the intuitions come in, because we have access to what the ego wants and also the subconscious. This you might experience too in a meditation or a visualization. So that's a great place if you want to really, really get into intuition. Just go into a meditative space and ask the question and then listen. I call it BLT, being, listening, and trusting. And then above that is the ego mind. I call this the pea brain, because it's like the filter that we're looking at the world through. It's like the tip of the iceberg above the water, and everything else that's really important is going on down here. And the ego will try and talk you out of what's going on down here. My clients always want to argue with me and say, oh no, Natasha, that would never happen. I say, well, we'll just see. I didn't come here for an argument. And sure enough, 6 months later, 9 months later, 5 years later, 10 years later, they call me and say, guess what I'm doing, Natasha? Just what you said. It's like, yes, yes, because I was listening to this one and the soul and not to the ego. So the ego will kind of try and trick you a little bit. So you've got to watch out for the ego mind, especially with intuition. And then above that, you've got the higher self. That's the being you're in the process of becoming in this lifetime. So we're going to talk about what are the 10 tips. Has everybody got a sheet of paper with the 10 tips on? Just so you know, while I remember, my 2 books, Psychic and Dead, I've got a very, very special deal on for them this weekend. 2 for the price of 1. So just $25 for both books. And if any of you are interested in developing your intuition and your psychic ability, they're really a good foundation to read. And I do tell funny stories, so it's not all theory. People do say they love stories. So, has everybody got one? I may not have enough. No, okay, I wasn't too sure how many to print. Okay, just so you know, for those of you who don't have them, they're on my blog, on my website. So if you either want me to send them to you, you can leave your email address, or you can go to my website, natasharosewood.com, the blog. So, number 1, know that you can know without knowing. Does anybody here just want to rate, because we're all different in the way we receive information intuitively and psychically. So there's clairsentient, which is feeling, clairaudient, which is hearing, clairvoyant, seeing, kinesthetic, kind of feeling. Some people are clairaudient. I smell things sometimes. I know there's a spirit in the room and I can smell tobacco or something else. How many of you think that you're clairvoyant? Great, great. How many of you are kinesthetic or clairsentient? You feel. Great. How about clairaudient? You hear things. Okay, that's more unusual. Awesome. How many of you just know? There you go. That's you listening to your intuition. That's awesome. So know you can know without knowing how you know. So you don't need to explain it. It is a physical experience of receiving intuition. You feel it in your gut, like you say, or your goosebumps. You get, signs in the ear. So it's about remembering that you don't need to know how, just that you can, and just trusting that. Really important. Number 2, we want to make it easy and effortless. That's why I call it BLT. And ever since I really started trusting more and more my intuition, the more I trust it, the stronger it gets, because I have more confidence in it, right? That makes sense. Same thing with a psychic ability. You get a feeling about something, you choose not to go down that path, it gets validated. Apart from the shark story, another time my intuition saved my life was when I was driving in Seashard and I came up to an intersection with traffic lights, and I saw that there was a big gravel truck coming the other way, massive great thing, and he was indicating to go that way. And this little voice said, no, I don't think so, he's not turning, so just stay put. So I just sat and waited. People behind me were beeping, I didn't care. I wasn't going to get schmucked by a big gravel truck. So I waited, and sure enough, that truck came right barreling through. So if I turned, I would have been really not very pretty. So again, intuition can save your life, absolutely. But in a less extreme situation, it can just save you a lot of grief, a lot of pain, a lot of work. So I call it BLT. So I ask the question, And then sometimes I'll just sit for 5 minutes and I be. I don't let anything interfere with that. I listen to my energy, what's going on outside me, what pops into my head. I'm just listening, so I'm receiving the energy. And then when it's strong enough, I trust it, or I get the word, and I follow up on it. Because that information is coming from within my field, and if it feels good, it's good, but it may not be what the evidence suggests. Just like when I was on the beach in Florida, the evidence suggested that everything was cool. But it was what was underneath that was bothering me, and I could feel it. So I was attuned to that shark in some way, shape, or form. So you can make your life so easy and effortless, because every single decision that you have to make, we'll get down to that in a second, can be not a decision. It can just be the most obvious thing in the moment. So it doesn't mean, oh, should I do that? Should I do this? It can be just the most obvious thing, like on neon lights. So how do we know the difference when we ask the question, is it fear or intuition? Like sometimes I love to go skiing, but I'm terrified of heights. And I always get really like, oh my God, I can't do it, before I get on the chairlift. And then I go, okay, where is this fear coming from? Where do you think fear comes from in your body? No. It's your head. Yes, you said brain. Very similar. So it's the ego mind telling you, oh no, Natasha, you can't have fun today. You're not going to get on that chairlift. We're going to make you so scared you're not going to do anything, and you're going to go home and stay home. So if you've got this chatter going on in the head about what you want to do, write down some of the chatter sometimes and see if it really makes sense to you. Because my mother's voice was in my head for a long time. Finally, she vacated. But, you know, I had to write down, oh, that's my mother talking. She didn't want me to have any fun. Okay, I'm going to go do it. Okay? So the fear, the intuition will always come and feel like, because it's your spirit talking to you through your body. So it's going to show up in a way. I mean, you might get an itchy kneecap. Some people get itchy palms. Some people get a prickly feeling at the back of their head. It's whatever your sign is to you. Make sure that you know what your particular way of receiving information is. So be open to what is real. So many of my clients come to me, and you know I do stretch the limits of their imagination, their belief system, because I'll say, oh, I had a very, I shall say, unhappy person that came to me for reading. And I saw all this wonderful stuff for her. She was going to get a free trip to Australia. And she said, oh, I wouldn't do that. Why would I do that? I'm a flight attendant. I've just come back from Australia. And I said, well, I think a girlfriend of yours is going to give you a gift. And it's a ticket to Australia, because her husband can't go. And then she said, well, do you think my brother's about to die and he has a lot of money. Do you think he will leave me in the will? And I went, oh God, yes, actually, I see that for you. And I'm going, why is this really unhappy person having all this nice stuff happen to her? Where's the karma in this? And then she said, well, do you think I will meet the love of my life soon? And I said, God damn it, yes, you are going to. So she called me a con. She went out into this store and she complained about me. The manager came back. I said, okay, she can have her money back. She can keep the recording, I'll give her the money back. 3 months later, her friend who'd recommended her to me called and said, oh yeah, you know Renata, that's not her real name. Renata, you know, all the things came true for her. And I went, really? Bloody hell. She got the free trip to Australia, she met the man, the brother left her the money in the will. Okay, but she was not open to any of it, really. And it was really interesting that it even showed up, because she was so adamant that no, this is not going to happen, and you're just having me on, that, you know, I'm surprised that actually she was able to allow it into her life. But what I'm saying is, anything is possible. Anything you want is possible. You can manifest anything you want as long as you believe in it. As long as you believe in it. And that's going on in the subconscious mind. I'm not paying attention to your ego. I'm kind of taking note of where you think you're at, But I'm looking at the subconscious and going, this is what's going on. And if you come to see me and you're on a negative trajectory, I'm going to point that out. I'm going to say, you know what, if you keep going down here, it's just going to get, you're going to get more of the same. And you don't have to go down that path. You can change it and switch and go get onto the high road if let's forgive whatever this thing that happened to you was, and put you in this positive place where you deserve. We all deserve to have the highest and the best. We're meant to be happy. Right, Lynette? There's my friend with the red hair. She's very happy. So that's what the universe wants us to be. They want us to be listening. They want us to be safe. They want us to be doing what we came here to do, to express what we want to express. And that's how they speak to us, is through our intuition. So you're going to get a lot more truth from you, right inside of you, because you do know, than you will from anybody else or anywhere else. The thing about knowing too, a lot of my clients come to the workshop and they go, well, I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know. And I say, well, let's change that and say you do know. And I say, what would it be if you did know? And they go, well, it might be this, and then it comes out, and it all starts pouring out. So the truth is inside of us. We've all got the answers right inside. And I, as a psychic, want to make my job redundant because I want all of you to trust yourselves. Because when you come and see me, you pay me a lot of money just to tell you what, you really got right inside of you, right? I'm not saying it's easy. I sometimes go and see other people too and go, I'm getting a feeling about this. Am I on track with this? Because it's, it's out there. Oh yeah, you're back on track, right? So we do want to get validated. And the way you can validate yourself as well is writing an intuition journal or a psychic journal. So ask yourself the question, put down the answer that you feel is right, put a date on it, call it, my job offer, and then go back to it later and see how right you are and give yourself little ticks. The more little ticks you have, the stronger your intuition will get. Trust me on that one. Okay, so the problem or the answer. So the problem, the answer is within the question that you ask. So I have clients, I'll just give you an example. Natasha, do you think my husband's having an affair with his secretary and he's going to run off in 6 months and leave me? And I go, well, I think you know the answer to this one, right? Because people already know, and they just don't really want to know. So they want validation of that sometimes when it's the truth, or is it their imagination? So does anybody here watch Jeopardy? Yeah. Lorne and I watch, yeah, he does. We watch it. Keep our brains alive. So if you notice, if you ever watch it, when they ask the question, the answer is always within the question. So if you write down your question to yourself, should I take this job over here, which has more money, closer to home, nicer hours, or should I take this job, which is a bit more challenging, it's further away, and there's this, and this. And just leave your answers and go back and see which one leaps off the page at you. See, if you're reading it as if a stranger had written it, you'll see where you're leaning. You'll see where you're leaning. The other thing you can do with a decision is imagine there's job A and job B, or there's Bill and Jim, whichever decisions you're having to make. Personally, I don't make decisions. I just let the information come at the right time. But if you're in that position, I've got to make a decision today. What shall I do, A or B? Go through having accepted A and go through the process as if it's already happened. How does it feel? You might feel okay. You might feel dread. You might kind of go, Then do B. Go through that process. Imagine yourself working in the office or walking down the aisle and meeting Jim or whatever it is. And then you might go, ah, or run, or you might go, oh, that's really exciting, and that's the one that makes me feel more excited. Whatever makes you feel good in your intuition is the right answer. You're meant to be excited about your life. If there's dread or boredom, then it's not.
When writing it down, I did something that's always
Right, so left and right side of the brain. You're using...
Dominant and non-dominant.
Yes.
And I don't know, for some reason things come out that I would not know.
Okay. So can you repeat that? It's, you write the question with the dominant,
Yeah, whatever your dominant hand is, write the question.
and then the answer with the other one.
Don't overthink anything, just start writing
Right.
the answer.
And the truth is, I've just had a conversation with Stephen Banks, there's nothing to figure out, really. Because even if you don't choose your intuitive thing, the universe has a way of guiding you towards it. If you don't put up resistance, and you just allow it to unfold the way it should, it will. It'll become obvious to you. When I have to make a decision, I try and put it off, not make the decision. I always say, if I can't make the decision, it means I don't have all the information yet. So I'm not afraid to say to somebody, I'll let you know, because I want to let it sit and see how it pans out. And maybe there's something else that's going to come in. Maybe there's something better that's going to happen the next day, or something over here that I didn't know about that's going to influence that decision and go, no thanks. It should become obvious to you what your course of action can be. Imagination or intuition? Who doesn't know the difference between imagination and intuition? Yeah. A lot of people in my workshops will say, oh, I'm just making this up, Natasha. It can't be psychic stuff. I can't do this. I say, yes, you can. So imagination, this will blow you, is part of intuition. So we use I use my imagination to, like I just said, to envision the decisions. How can I'm going to imagine what this looks like, and then check in with my body and see how it feels. So imagination is great for visualizing. I often use visualizing as a dress rehearsal to see, do I want to go down this path? And then it may not be anything big, or there may be lovely people, and the situation could be lovely. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. So sometimes it's not, it'll be okay if you do that other thing. Nothing bad's going to happen, but it would be better if you went over here. So use your imagination to really get in there, and then get into the feeling of it. Just feel it out. So why am I here? Yeah, why are we here? Very big question, but what people are asking me is, what is my larger purpose? So intuition is just not a little thing, it's the bigger picture. It's, why did you come here? What is your purpose? And if you're listening to yourself and you're being with yourself, you're going to get little murmurings. Although this soul journey is embedded in your soul level of your consciousness, when you just spend time with yourself, little bits and bobs will just kind of start rising to the surface and give you clues. The way you can stimulate that is to ask the questions. And I know this because when I do past life regressions, what I'm doing with my clients is saying, okay, what's bothering you right now in your life? So somebody might say, oh, all my business ventures fail. Why do I have this sabotage thing going on? So I'll say, let's ask your mind a question. Why do I feel I deserve not to be successful? So a lot of the times you've got to think about the question you're asking your mind so that you get a really good answer. You want to be very as specific as possible and go as deep as possible. So the question really isn't, why is he sabotaging his business? The question is, why does he feel he deserves to fail all the time? Right? Why isn't he allowed to be successful? Now, intuitively, I go straight to guilt, right? Because that's often at the root. Something we did or we didn't do in a past life. We feel guilty, we feel less than, we feel like, oh, we're bad people, we didn't do something, and now we're being punished for it. So forgiveness, if nothing else, is a great tool. Just say, write a letter to the people, send them a card, apologize, make it good, burn their letters, write down everything they said to you that was nasty, put them in a shoebox, set that on fire, send it up to the angel, say, thank you very much, take that away, I'm clean and fresh now. Because we're all really innocent in the moment. We're all innocent in the moment. There is nothing really to be forgiven. because we're all children just stumbling our way through this universe, trying to figure things out, right? So we're just like innocent little children. So to access your purpose will make you feel more at peace with yourself, to know why you're here. It's really, all the work I've done in myself, it's really given me so much more peace. So I can see my trajectory and I can make this happen, and I'm doing this now. Dream on. So this lady here said she couldn't sleep last night because she had so much on her head, in her head. So, so ideally, you would have gone into a sleep where all that stuff would have got filtered down into your subconscious. And as that information goes down into the subconscious, your mind spews out dreams to tell you how you feel about what you've just taken in during the day. Do you like it? Are you afraid of it? Is it helpful? Does it trigger something in your past for you? And you're going to have a dream. You can ask your dreams for solutions to your questions, all of them time. I do this on a frequent basis. Right before you go to sleep, lay your head down, just before you're about to drift off. Mind, tell me the answer to this question. Keep a little dream journal by your bed. Remember your dreams. Even if in the morning they don't seem to connect with the question that you've asked, just let it sit for about a week and then go back to it and you go, oh my God, now I get it. Because there'll be some symbolic or literal interpretation of that dream that will give you your question. If you really don't get it after a week, ask the question and say, sorry mind, I'm a bit thick, I'm not getting this, can you give me another one? So keep asking the question until you get the answer, whether in your conscious state or your unconscious state. When all else fails, just give it up. Just give up. Let it go. Surrender. Wave your white flag and just let the universe do it for you. I often say when I get overwhelmed or I don't know, I say, okay, that's it, universe, I'm out of here, I'm going to watch my movie now. Can you please take care of business? I have a great story about this. I had a thyroid condition for a while, and I don't know if anybody's had thyroid, but you know, when you're in that dead state, you're dead. I was like this little lump. And so I wasn't able to work, I had no energy. So I said to the universe on Wednesday afternoon, universe, I need $4,000 or more by Friday at 5 o'clock. It's got to be here, thank you very much. So I went in, I said, I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to get out of the way. So I went and lay on the couch again, watched another movie, and somehow had the energy to go down to the mailbox the following day on the Thursday, and there was a check in there for $4,123. Okay, thank you. So you can use your intuition to put out or receive. You know what's best for you. I can't tell you this strongly enough. Now, can we all put everything down? I'd just like to do a very quick exercise with you. Okay. So hopefully this is going to work. I'm sad that we don't have Theda here singing her with her beautiful voice, but these are crystal bells also, crystal balls rather. Okay, so close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through the nose, and then exhale through the mouth. And you're going to blow out any stresses, aches and pains. I want you to imagine that you have a beautiful rose crystal ball hovering on your lap, and anything that you don't want in your body right now, just exhale it and put it in your bowl. And I'm going to ask that all your guides and angels come and take away anything that you don't want or need at this time. Anything that you need healed or resolved is going to be taken away and taken care of by your angels, and they'll come back later with another answer for you. But let's go back to that question that we had at the beginning of this session. I asked you to have a problem, at least one, or a question or a decision that needed to be made. So let's just retrieve that. And let's take it on a walk into a beautiful green forest. So there you are, walking down this narrow path The sun is shining down through the trees. Maybe you're feeling the warmth of the sun on your body. If you're walking bare feet, you feel the moss beneath your feet. You're being watched over and protected by the animals of the forest. And suddenly you come along the path, and there you see a brick wall. And there's no way for you to get through this brick wall. But you know on the other side of that brick wall are the answers to your questions. And suddenly you notice in the brick wall that there actually is a doorway. And the door swings open, and as you go through, on the other side, you might meet up with your spirit guides and angels, your deceased loved ones, maybe strangers you've never met who are your soul family, and you meet your higher self, the best you that you can be in this lifetime, which might be next week or 10 years from now. But you love what you see in your higher self. You're the best. You're emanating beauty and light and love and laughter. All is well in your world. You are at peace with who you are. You have all the answers to the questions that you need at that time. I'd like you to go and embrace your higher self. Feel the warmth and the love that's coming from your future self to you at this time, today. Blending with that great energy, knowing that is you. The you that has all the answers, that knows what to do, that loves, that is free and wants to create and contribute and be and do and have. And I want your higher self, your future self, to say something to you, to give you the answer to the question that you're asking today. And just listen for the answer. And when you're ready, I want your future self to take you by the hand, and both of you walk back through that brick wall, saying farewell to your guides, your deceased loved ones. You can come back through this brick wall at any time. The door will always be open to you, because that is your knowingness and your connection. So as you come through, back through the wall, back onto the path in the forest, bringing your future self with you, closing the door behind you, and knowing that your future self is always with you. You can ask him or her anytime what you need to know to guide you to that future self that is already existing in the ether for you. Everything that you desire already is. So now come back down the forest path, bringing your future self with you. And when you're ready, just come back into this room and open your eyes, move your fingers and toes, and come back to the room, fully present in your body. Everybody come back? Everybody come back? So does anybody have any questions? I know we've got a couple of minutes. We've got 3 minutes. Thank you, Michael. Hi.
Why do some people remember their dreams and others don't?
It's intention. So I go through phases where I don't remember them because I'm too busy, I've been writing too much or whatever. But if you set intention, and sometimes this takes a few nights to get into it, but I say, I will remember my dreams. And have that journal by your bedside. Some people wake themselves up at 3 and 4 in the morning during REM time when they're dreaming is most rapid. But you can train yourself absolutely. And some people don't want to know. Any other questions? Hi.
Hi. When you're doing a reading, if you see something quite negative in
Yeah.
a person, how does that work?
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. So I never talk directly about death unless the person has, say, an elderly mother or somebody, and it's kind of, they're all already, and I won't say, oh, look, so-and-so's going to die. I'll say, you know, you may want to give them a call. I feel a sense of urgency around it. I'm very careful with my language because I can be wrong, or I might misinterpret the energy, but I also don't want to put that image into their subconscious mind. That's a very dangerous thing to do. And some psychics do it, and you've got to be very careful that who you go and see, because it can be very damaging. If it's sometimes I will just see a big change. Like my fiance died 20 years ago, and when I first met him, he actually let me read his palm, which was, his daughters were amazed. And I said, oh look, you've got all this nice bright white light around you. You're going through a spiritual transformation in about 2 years, and I'm here to help you go through it. And he died. So I don't often see the death myself. I don't see the negative myself. If I'm feeling negative and I feel that the person needs some kind of attention, I will say, go see your doctor, or you need to go for counseling, or whatever needs to be done. And I'll refer often to other people. So I think I have 1 minute, one more question, and then I'm done. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, hi.
When the intuition guides you to something that just feels so wrong from what your life is now, how do you just deeply trust it?
Well, I think sometimes the truth requires courage, and we don't want to do it. But what I do talk about is emotional readiness. So in some way it's got to feel what I'm being guided towards has to be better than what's over here. Does that make any sense? So sometimes we just need, I say, God give me guts, right? And sometimes you just got to jump in. And other times some people will wait until they're emotionally ready, and that's okay. So sometimes you don't have to do it immediately. You can just wait and do what you can to, but if you don't, and it should, yeah, exactly, exactly. Poof. Poof. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm trying to be a good girl and finish on time, because I can talk for hours. And I want you to go home and get into it. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.